Hey, Ghost Machine fans, this one's for you.
Welcome to the Ghost Machine Fans Podcast, episode 93. We're experiencing a bit of a snowpocalypse while Zach Hornsby and Rose Halo descend further into the catacombs beneath New York City to their destiny? Well, one can only hope they make it out of their divine adolescent years unscathed. I'm Becky, and as usual, I'm joined by my partner in crime, Nick. Nick, how are ya?
I was trying to think of like a cool musical line to use there, like Yogi would, like Great Balls of Fire, or the next thing that he sings in this one, but I couldn't. So I'm here, and I'm excited to talk about Hornsby and Halo. There's a lot that happens in this issue. There's a lot of things that change course, or are revealed.
There's a lot.
There is. There really, really is. So I'm happy to be here, happy to talk about it. Snowpocalypse notwithstanding. So we're in Cincinnati, and usually here school closes for what, like 2 inches? Is that what you'd say?
I think it just depends. Because it snowed probably 2-ish inches and it hasn't closed. But usually it's like if it's 2 inches with ice and it's cold, y'all know how it goes. We definitely got a snow day today.
We did, because we got over a foot of snow in our fair city over the weekend.
Yeah.
And here, that's a lot. That was enough snow to where our 10-year-old, when digging in the snow outside, was able to build a tunnel that you can like go down into and through and pop out the other side. And it is still intact because the temperature is so low. It's like assisting the snow in maintaining that structure for him.
It was enough snow that I got a proper workout because I wanted to. I wanted to shovel our driveway. And a shout out to our neighbor, Tom, because I was about halfway done. And he came over with his like snowblower plow thing into the other half in like 15 minutes after I had been doing it for like 2+ hours.
And a shout out is how we kick this thing off, too.
Mm-hmm.
So we do also have a Ghost Machine related shout out, believe it or not. And that is to artists. Go to Instagram or Facebook and look up Andrew _Mangum. It's Mangum. MANGUM _art. So Andrew Mangum art. And you can find that on Facebook or Instagram. We did a Ghost Machine Fan Content Friday, and one of the things we featured was some really cool original Geiger art that he did, some pencils and inks that he did. And it was really, really cool. So I just wanted to shout him out. He is a really neat artist. On his profile, looks like he's done work for some of the different properties professionally. Saw a lot of really cool Evil Ernie art that he did. So make sure to check out Andrew Mangum.
Yeah.
But enough about artists, because Snoggle is in the newsroom.
Today is Wednesday, January 28th. And believe it or not, fans, we're looking forward to April. That's right. The April solicits are out. We recently received some additional info about the first Ghost Machine guidebook. Also, Geiger 23, which featured an amazing Northerner Spotlight A cover, as well as Redcoat 18. And let me tell you, the wraparound cover for that spells badness for the Plum family, which makes me sad. but I also saw it coming.
Right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about that news for a minute. And, on the last episode, we may or may not have equivocated about Benedict Arnold's possible noble intent in returning, despite his first activity being the cold-blooded murder of 6 people. Well, I guess he said 5 of them was in self-defense. Neither here nor there. I'm going to describe this cover in brief detail. And if you have not been paying attention and you don't want to have a pretty good idea of what we think is going to happen in the transition to this April cover, by the time we get there, then don't do that thing on your phone that lets you skip the 30 seconds, like the next 3 times, do like 90 seconds. But this cover is straight up Benedict Arnold with super blue light magic powers lifting up, I think it's like Simon and each of his family members. So it is still very possible that he is doing that solely because that is the ritual that he needs to perform to make sure that they are all granted immortality. And I'm sure at the end of that ritual, he will just perish because he will be sacrificing himself for them. But the look on his face and the vibe that he gives off is a lot more like nefarious. I'm just saying.
I agree.
But we still don't know. We still don't know exactly what happens, right? And it's a sweet looking cover either way. And yeah, that Northerner one is really neat. It's like a shattered deal that he went through. It looks like a shattered window or something. And then each of the shards has like parts of the story in it. That's cool. But we're not talking about the World of the Unnamed or the Plum family or the Geiger family. We're talking about the Hornsby and Halo families and their most recent issue, which is number 13. So we had 2 great covers. What did you think of the A cover? And then I'll ask you answer that, and then I'll ask you a follow-up question.
Well, I think it looks really cool. It made me think we were getting a Christmas issue.
It did.
Yeah.
And so it is a really cool cover. This issue did come out in December. We are behind on this, but this is the most recent issue up to this point that is out for Hornsby and Halo. So this gets us all caught up. But it is a Christmas cover. It's got presents and the things and the Christmas lights and Tucker and the evil cat that I always forget the cat. I can always remember Tucker's name. I can never forget the cat. I know we're going to see the cat's name in a few pages, and Zach is transformed, carrying a transformed Rose who has a smile on her face because she's got a present on the end of like a trident, bident type of deal.
The cat's name is Pepper.
Pepper. But it does point out that this is a connecting cover with the Rockefellers number 12. If you put them next to each other, they look sweet.
That's cool.
Yeah, for sure. And that's Peter Snaberg and John Calise, the team that's on the book, our usual dynamic duo of artists. And it's cool on this because this B cover, this artist did a B cover on the last issue that was only Zach, and this is a B cover that's only Rose. And I immediately recognized the style from that.
I like this one.
Yeah, I literally liked it a lot. It made me want to put them like side by side, but the other one is also, so this is Rose in like lava. It looks like in the infernal realms, we'll just say, and there's like demons flying out, and she's down in the lava, reveling in the evil infernalness. And the one in the last issue by the same artist who is Andre Bresson, it was similar, but instead it was like it was Zach with the heavenly host transformed, and there were angels flying away. So I like that artist. I want to look that artist up and see if he has done any, like ongoing work of any kind. It looks like if you look him up, he is credited to be the creator of Birthright, which was a image comic published by Skybound. So that's cool. Dig it, Andre. And those are the two covers that are available to you if you still haven't snagged a copy of Hornsby and Halo 13 from your local comic book shop. You need to do that because right now, this is your spoiler pause.
You've been warned.
So we kick this thing off with a creature roll call traditionally. Would you be able to oblige, young lady?
Yes. Thank you for calling me young.
Mm-hmm.
We've got our usual round of suspects. Peter J. Tomasi and Peter Schneeberg are creators. And Rob Lee, our king of letters. And our color artiste, John Calise. Oh, that rhymed.
It does. The team is all here ready to rock. Can't do it without Rob Lee.
You can't.
Just can't. Just can't. We're going to talk about some things that Rob did. Right off the bat, we've got Manhattan Animal Care Center in italics, different font, and that M is wonky to make me feel like this is an official building of some sort. Thanks, Rob.
Yeah. They're dropping off poor Pepper.
He's just bringing in the cat, Pepper, evil cat, and says that the cat comes from a couple that got arrested while their kid was missing. And there's a brief mention that they only get there to be there for 2 weeks and then they put them to sleep. But ultimately, Pepper ends up in a cage next to Tucker, and they're just sitting there, and Tucker begins a conversation with the angel speak.
And I love Pepper. Cut the gobbledygook. And I will big shout out to Rob here with doing just slightly different letters. The font's different. And I think it really indicates, like, even though these are animals speaking in English, it's going to sound weird because they are animals.
They are. And so what was can you recall what our first impression of these animals was?
It kind of felt like they were very similar to the adjudicator, right? Like higher beings, kind of controlling the situation as well.
Well, we weren't sure, but what was alluded to was that they were both like many hundreds or thousands of years old, and that in the bio page in Ghost Machine #1, and we know that only we know that was a preview book, and only so much from that, and we that's fine. And so at first I was like, they seem like really simple-minded here. Like in my mind, I'm thinking like, wouldn't they just like waggle their nose and unlock the door because they really do have powers or something? But that doesn't seem to be the case. But then also, I think that Peter Tomasi is trying to play into the whole like talking pet angle, and you got to think like if there are ancient creatures that are perpetually in the body of, like, assuming this is the way they always were for whatever reason, then maybe they would always maintain the mentality of like a small animal type of like, because the way they talk is they talk like they absolutely know what's going on. They mention Sydney,
but they both miss Zach and Rose, and Pepper hates to admit it, misses Zach, but not his folks.
Yeah, that is pretty funny.
They can get out. They're purposefully not getting out.
Well, it would be funny if that led to Pepper getting adopted. Because Pepper doesn't want to be there either. But yeah, I do still want to know more about that, because it's like, wow, they're these ancient beings or whatever. Or have they always been in this form? Tell me more about that. That's always a detail that I really hung on when it was put in that bio originally. But we go back to the tube because they're being transported by like early 20th century tube technology.
It's like a train type situation.
A swoosh. A swoosh.
I really like that Rose's bubbles are red and angry, and Zach's are blue and rounded.
Yeah, that is pretty intuitive. I believe that's a Rob thing, even though it's not letters, it's the chat bubbles.
Mm-hmm.
It helps you maintain their vibe, and it's true because she is kind of freaking out, and he is trying to analyze the situation and stay more calm.
Yeah.
It's not just because he's an angel and she's an infernal, whatever. But so they get off of the tube to the destination, and they were told that this thing takes you to the elector, which is where you make a decision where you can give away your immortal powers and become mortal. As far as that's all we really know. And so they get off of the thing, and they immediately notice that there are so many. Angel
feathers.
Yeah.
Lots of them, which is creepy. Honestly, you're walking up to this weird circular vine ring looking thing glowing in light between two logs that also speaks, by the way. And as you're walking up, you're walking on a ridiculous amount of angel feathers. Like, scary. Yeah. Highborns, celestial and infernal. Like, ew.
Whatever this thing is, there's a big serpent or snake wrapped around it, it looks like, and carved into it, like some sort of altar. And it's like it's opened up from top to bottom, and inside is this amorphous infinity strand type of looking thing.
Yeah. I like this panel where Zach says it knows we're here, and Rose says, "You think?" It just looks very pretty and ethereal.
Well, and it says, "I await your choice, step through and begin anew." So what it's saying is there's two things that kind of gave a vibe to me of it. One is, but just going through it, you have made the choice. It's not that you go through it and then make the choice. Going through it is making the choice.
Yeah.
And it does seem to want you to do it because it says, "I await your choice, step through and begin anew." And then as they get closer, it says, "Make your choice." So it's clearly trying to be like, do it, let's go, do it.
And the last thing we hear from them before we go back to Beazle and Domino, who are fighting the hybrid.
Yogi.
Yeah, Yogi. And they clock it that they were drawn to it because of Beazle and Domino. They don't really say why, but Beazle and Domino wanted them there. And then we go back to Beazle and Domino teaming up on our boy Yogi.
Yeah, and it's a cool panel. I really like Peter's art on the panel where you see Yogi swiping his heavenly blade. Well, not heavenly, right? He just kind of has like this blade that has fire energy, like
blade of fire.
But I say that though because we have also Domino, who has a divine blade, technically, or a heavenly blade, technically. Mm-hmm. And then Beazle on the bottom is obviously like demon. And it's just I really like that one page full spread where they're chopping it's like a statue of Mercury or Hermes or something in half.
And hey, I like that statue.
Yeah, right? Hey, I mean,
he's still full of jokes as they're fighting. Missed me, now you gotta kiss me. Eat Converse, bug face.
Because he kicks him with his shoes, and he very clearly is wearing Chuck Taylor's. I don't know. I thought that was funny. The kind of those comments like that and the jovial nature of it, the fact that the pets aren't actually omniscient evil beings or whatever, or even if they are, they're still going to be funny. And that even amongst all this, they're trying to like stop a delicate piece between two other realms that are very powerful. And it's this knuckleheaded demon dude that's like, I hate how you smell and you're ugly too. And I'm going to try to hit you with a, it's just like comedy of errors, but Yogi's pretty funny too.
Yeah. Hey, watch the ivories. That's an 1859 Steinway gifted to me by Henry himself.
Yogi seems like kind of a, not really Simon Fury, but like one of those immortal characters that probably could tell, not immortal, but he's been around a long time, probably tell you a lot of cool stories.
But it starts to go not in his favor because Domino gets his wings. And like very evilly, for an angel, Domino's not good. Rips his wings off.
Yeah, I like when media that uses infernal and holy stuff, we'll say, keeps those forces either neutral or similar to us, where there's good, bad, and ugly people amongst them.
Yeah.
Spawn does a good job of that too. It's more like there's a battle between those two realms always, but those two realms, like one of them isn't more good or bad than the other. They just operate in different ways because of the nature of their power. And yeah, totally. Domino seems like a jack, man.
Mm-hmm. So they catch him.
Yeah, and they tie him up with piano wire, or right? Yeah, that's terrible. And it looks like Rose is like close to doing it. Zach's holding her wrist. The thing, the infinity, whatever, is saying, you must commit mind and body. So it's very much like this thing just waits for the next person to come by to try to casually convince them to give up their powers and immortality.
And I mean, Zach does a good thing here because Rose is tempted to go through and he talks her out of it.
Right.
And I like how he says, I get you, but we're kind of like the only hope for a better tomorrow for two places we've never actually lived in for a reason that's bigger than us.
And she's taking a stance more so about them and saying it's only fair because they should just be able to have normal lives.
He says they basically can do both. So you're saying let's be those people who will want to be and use these powers in the things we learn to help not just the celestial and infernal realms, but the people all around us.
And she's down for that, but that makes me think, like, what direction is this going? Are they going to have, like, vigilante? I don't know. It just sounds cool. I thought that was good. But then the other two, the Dumb and Dumber, or I don't know what a good term for Beazle and Domino at this point would be. They break in and they make it in there. So is their plan to try to get them into the thing so their powers go away? Because
I think they think there's a way that they can take their powers if they go into that. I don't know. I mean, they're both kind of dumb.
Because Domino says, we're here to steal your birthright instead. We've discovered how to harvest your blood and maturing powers, and in turn, reset the celestial and infernal balance here on Earth, where we will be the ones all its human inhabitants bow to.
Not only that, but we got your mommies and daddies arrested, actually, so they're out of the way, which sends Rose into an absolute rage, and I love it.
And that's when Rose, in the end, zaps Beazle and Domino into the sphere thing, is what you're talking about.
Yeah. Our choices, and one of our choices is to make sure you don't take our powers, which is when they go into the sphere thing, and it says, "You have entered the sphere. Your choices have been made."
Yeah, it does kind of give a vibe off of, and welcome to the next stage. But the whole thing, it zaps the two of them, Beazle and Domino, and there's like screaming and some pretty cool SHRAKAKOOM from Rob all over the page. It even says after the choices have been made, it says and accepted. And then it spits back out them in human form. And then we come to find out those are just people that they had possessed, essentially. And I always thought it was just how they manifested themselves, but those are people.
Yeah.
And they make their way out. They make peace. I guess they let those people go. Like, they don't even know. Like, those people don't seem to have any idea what's going on. They don't have a memory of any of it. Then it looks like Yogi's pretty beat up, but he's there. And he just goes right back to playing the piano in a puddle while the fountain is broken. And he's like, even his like piano stuff is messed up. So maybe he can just play, but he's finishing up the night by singing, "I'm in a New York state of mind."
Yeah. And
I'm
then
in a New York state of mind.
Rose and Zach find a police officer who's on horseback.
I really love that panel that has the two of them sleeping with this cop on horseback.
Yeah, they're just exhausted.
It's just a really beautiful panel, and you got the clop, clop, clop with from Rob on the bottom. The horse is looking at you from the side just a little bit. And it's like a coda, I think is the musical term, to the night.
Yeah. I love this turn of events because we're first brought to Zach interacting with his parents, who, again, are on this very high horse.
Well, and they're doing the same thing, but they're defending themselves. And they're making all this stuff up about having done a straightforward business deal and being taken advantage of and all that kind of stuff. And then they're mad. He's not empathetic enough for them, and they want their phones back.
Yeah. And they're just, I mean, we've known this all along that they're awful parents, because when he asks, "So what happens to me and Pepper?" The mom says, "You and Pepper? What about me and your father?" Like, come on. Oh, they suck.
Right, because they're literally being held right now. And so he's asking them, "Hey, I'm a child. What do you want me to do right now?" And they're mad. Her mom is, and his mom is like what you just said.
Yeah.
Where's your empathy? But does let them end up in the car with the other family, and then both pets are sleeping in the arms of both kids in the back of said car.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Hornsby drives
nice people.
Yeah, so because they got let go because that was something they could resolve because they had no ill intent, I would assume, and it was easy to prove that they were like, "Listen, this is what happened. We don't need this. Like, take the money back. We don't know this person, and here's who it was, and all these things." Versus the other folks who had like stolen merchandise as part of the equation. I thought it was funny though that he said, "Sorry, you couldn't drive back, Zachary, but I'm a bit of a stickler for rules of the road and state law."
Yeah.
But
I do. So he gives lots of rules and everything, and they've got a place for Tucker to eat and Pepper. And then it's all done, and he says, "Sure, okay, good night." Rose is like, "Where are you going?" "Down to the basement." He just assumes that that's where they're going to make him sleep. And now he's got like an actual room.
And it does give you a sense that perhaps this story is going in the direction where he may be able to stay there for a longer period of time.
Yeah, I hope so.
Because if not, it is another way of when he goes back to the horribleness of emphasizing how bad that is. But this last page is just so poetic with the two of them on the rooftop talking to each other. I don't want to judge the world. I'd be happy just to understand a fraction of it.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And then they kind of come to terms with the fact that wanting to be normal is a nebulous idea in and of itself. And as comic book people, we certainly know that. And it's, if there's ever an era where the definition of normal is loose, it is now.
Yeah.
In a good way.
Next issue, 0 Hour.
Yeah, that's funny. And the pets have their each side of the house, they're poking their heads out.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. I like the idea of Pepper. I just want to tell me more about them. Please do it. But 0 Hour is funny. It makes me think of a 90s DC event that was called 0 Hour. And we get a cool bio page about Yogi that does tell us that he made a home in an abandoned New York subway area, catching as many Yankees home games as he could, stays close to what he has dubbed the Elector, the divine energy mass that allows beings from both the celestial and infernal realms to make that fateful decision. He prefers to perform rock and roll music on his piano or guitar. Try as he might, Yogi still can't seem to get down all the licks of Van Halen's Eruption. So, I would bet money that is actually the truth for Peter Tomasi.
Maybe we can ask him sometime.
We should. And the reason I say that is when on the one occasion that we had the privilege of interviewing him on the show, we were able to see him, and he had a guitar in hand the majority of the time. So that's that. Maybe Yogi is part Peter Tomasi, I think, because he created him. But speaking of fantastic things that people have created, we have a fantastic mail to close out this episode of the Ghost Machine Fans Podcast. Would you like to read it, Snoggle?
Yes, I would. So our fantastic mail comes from Badine, capital J at the end. It says, "Hello. I found your show recently and am working my way through from the beginning at work. Thank you for what you are doing. If you could choose any non-Ghost Machine artist to pencil an issue for Ghost Machine, who would it be and what series would they pencil?" Nick Wilson, take it away.
Well, how about this? Let's make it so I'll answer this question outside of Ghost Machine. But in the early 90s, when several creators made a bunch of separate universes, like 6 universes separate, they would like occasionally cross over because it was more like they were publishing them together, but there was each other's own ideas. It was the early Image stuff. There was an instance where they swapped books for a month or two, and I remember Todd McFarlane drew Cyberforce and Mark Silvestri drew Spawn from like 1 month or something like that. And it was really cool. And it made me think of that. So the question for Snuggle is, if you could have one Ghost Machine dedicated artist, so Brian Hitch, Yvonne Hayes, Gary Frank, Peter Snaberg, and add Layla Lees into that, and you could have that person draw another series, not the one that they usually draw, who would you pick and what would you have them draw?
Oh, Nick Wilson, I don't even know how to answer that question.
Do you want to think about that while I answered this question from Badine J?
Yeah.
A good question. So you think about that. I will answer it outside of Ghost Machine entirely. And I'll give you a couple. I'll say Mike Mignola on Redcoat. It does tons of cool dark period stuff. And I would think that he could totally do like a one-off Redcoat dark occult story. And I love him a lot. Mark Silvestri on anything he wants to do at all, no matter what. If he agrees to do it, and put it on Ghost Machine. No, he's also another darker artist with the Witchblade and the Darkness stuff. His style has really evolved over time and become much more distinct. So I would love to see Mark Silvestri do Hyde Street. It would be really cool to see Mark Silvestri on Hyde Street.
I feel like Brian Hitch would also, it's funny you said Hyde Street, because I think Brian Hitch being a guest on Hyde Street would be pretty cool.
I think it'd be super cool. My top choices would be like Carrie Nord, but I really like Carrie Nord. And Ghost Machine would benefit from like maybe a period story, an earlier era story, because he does a lot of cool Conan type of stuff. But he did some great Exo Manowar, so he could do the future. Carrie Nord could do Geiger. But absolute hands down, no matter what, if I could only make one, would be Tomas Giarello. Really, again, on anything. But I think it would be on either Geiger or Hyde Street. And he's done a ton of really cool Conan stuff, but he also is a really big artist on Bad Idea right now. He's the artist on Planet Death and a few other titles, and it's just really amazing. And that's just such a good question, man. The problem is you ask a comic book person that, like, you sit around and drink like 2 cups of coffee for an hour and answer that question, you know?
Yeah.
So, man, I'd love to answer that for writing too. Like guest writers would be really, really fun. That's a good question. So if you'd like to be like Badine J and send us a fantastic mail, you can do so by emailing ghostmachinefans@gmail.com. And if you'd like to enjoy all of our other content, you can do so by visiting www.ghostmachinefans.com, where you'll find our social media platforms, our Discord, our Reddit, our Wiki, which we would love some contributors to join us on. And we'll see you next time.
And thanks so much for joining us tonight on the Ghost Machine Fans Podcast.
Hornsby and Halo, not Christmas podcast.